Frith, hope all is well. This video is on Isa. It's Stada, Galder, movement, and practice. For Stada, basically, most everyone does it just like this. Just still, finding that still point. And as you do this, you might notice yourself wobbling from one side back and forth. It's learning to find that stillness, to still the body, to still the mind. Incorporating using, of course, all the different things that we've talked about with the different rune movements and stadas, but also working in particular with urus and rooting down can really help to stabilize the body as it sways and moves. And as you work with this stada, try to find that point of least resistance, because gravity is constantly pulling on us, pulling down. And so like when the arms are out or we're leaning in one direction, it actually creates this pull. So we're looking for that still point where the least amount of, where we feel the least amount of pull of gravity. Right? The second stada that I work with is the extended Isa. And this creates a dynamic energy because you're not just relaxed, you're actually having to hold your arms up. It affects your health in a positive way. It helps with blood flow. It helps draining lymph. After holding it for a time, and when you put your arms back down in just a relaxed Isa, it actually helps calm the nerves, and it's really good in an all-around way. Because if you think about it, all the time our arms are down, even when we're laying. So by holding it up here for a few minutes, it really shifts things around, changes polarities and energy. So I would encourage you at least to start with a minute, work towards 5 or 10 minutes of holding your arms up like this, and just allow. First, it won't be that big of a deal, but as you continue on, it'll become more harder. You'll start to feel things flow. Might feel some releases, some cathartic emotions. So just work with that. For the movement, I work with breathing in and exhaling as you come down the center of your being. And then reverse, you can reverse it going in and coming down. When you do this movement, really work with the breath and sink in the breath with the movement. Refer to my breathing video. I'll have the link below in the description. For the Galder sound, it's an E, that's the root Galder sound. Like with Nadis, we really stimulated the mind's eye, and now with Isa, we're bringing that energy in, down the center channel of our being, right? So first with Nadis, you really feel that intonal vibration stimulating this area. Now with Isa, you're wanting to bring that really deep down into the center of your being and down your spinal column, right? You feel that energy in the back of the throat, and then work with the intonation or the depth and and feel like play around with the sound until you feel the vibration, the intonation stimulating different parts of your spine. And with your awareness, you bring that energy down, right? And then so granted, like what I've said in many of my videos, it's all about balance. So working with the flow, then you can reverse the flow and bring it up, right? Right, so we're getting the energy to flow up and down. And if you find yourself your voice cracking, or you like feel it stuck, just work on really focusing on wherever that energy is stuck, so that you can help get that energy flow. Because that's one of the aspects of working with Isa is it's inertia and stagnation and blocks. So to working with the intonations, you can really break up those areas within your spinal column, right? So you want the energy to flow up and down in a fluid flowing motion, right? A regular, stable motion. Well, like I said in other videos, there's just countless number of different things we can work with in practicing or bringing awareness with when it comes to working with the runes. In Rune Yoga, I really just focus on a couple. If you want a more thorough list of correspondences and practices and magical operations and things, I refer you to my rune correspondence book. I'll also have that at the bottom in the description of the video. For what I focus on in Rune Yoga, one is just continue on with working with meditation and stilling the mind and really just finding that presence of being fully present in the moment. Second thing that I work with, in particular with the movements, is to really connect with that witness conscious aspect of ourselves that's able to objectively step back and just be present and aware of what's going on without necessarily being influenced or brought into it, so that like your consciousness is like coming from the eyes versus the eyes are witnessing the areas, the sensing's all witnessing, but the consciousness and that sense of self has stepped back and is able just to passively be aware of everything. This helps with a lot of things that I'll get into later, but one thing in particular, though, it helps us with working in the astral realm and with lucid dreaming. And so I'll get to that in future videos. But so one way to incorporate that within the movement is just, as you're breathing in and out and you're doing these movements, you can do it slow or fast. I encourage you to just try it in different ways and see what you experience, right? But as you do this movement, I would suggest starting with maybe 3 minutes, 5 minutes, something like that, and just really get into these movements. Make it into a habit so that your mind is able to go on autopilot and or your body is able to just go on autopilot and continue these movements without you having to consciously instruct yourself to do so. And so after you've gotten it to that point where it's the repetition is just going on its flow, then work on stepping back to consciousness so that you can touch in with that witness consciousness and just be present with what's going on, right? And as you familiarize yourself with that and working with these just simple repetition movements, then incorporate it in things like when you're washing dishes or doing laundry or mowing the lawn or just whatever it is that is somewhat repetitious, and so that you can step back without causing yourself harm. I wouldn't suggest doing this while driving or anything. But just being able to step back and be present. And what I notice when I'm doing repetitious activities like mowing the lawn, my mind is just all over the place. Like I might be thinking about this, or I might be doing about that, or singing a song, or whatever it is. Instead of that, right? Or instead of if I'm actively doing a meditation, like if I'm mowing and just paying attention to what I'm feeling in the body and stuff. But instead of things like that, it's just being present. You're mowing the lawn or weed whacking or weeding grass or moving rock or whatever you're doing. That's, you need the body, but you don't necessarily need your mind as part of it, beyond just paying attention to safety issues. When you're doing this repetition act, again, because you familiarize yourself already by just practicing it with the rune movements, whatever rune movement, if it's Feyu, again, just create that repetitious so that your body can continue on without you actively needing to instruct your body into what to do. And just familiarize yourself with that witness conscious. So now as you're doing these other things like washing dishes or mow the lawn or something, your body's able to do its thing, but you could step back and you just be present and you can be aware. You can send your awareness off to what you're hearing and what you're seeing and what you're smelling, all right. So those are some basic things you could start with or working with Isa. I encourage you just to take a few minutes a day, like 15 minutes a day, just to sit down and just be present, right? Just be present with whatever sensations come up. If you find yourself getting caught up in thoughts or memories or whatever, planning and stuff, just pull your awareness back to your physical body and your 5 senses, right? Because that's one of the easiest ways to really just touch in with what is right now in this moment, right? And just be present with that. And as your mind wanders, bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. Still it, focus it, right? Working with Thuruzaz, working with Uru, helping with grounding, helping with centering, with just all these different things that we've already talked with. You can bring those into the meditative practice and just find stillness in the moment. All right, till next video, be well and be blessed.
Odin, Thor, Freyr, Freya, Sif, Frigga.